So I will again use a PowerPoint presentation. Okay, here is the PowerPoint presentation. Okay. Dear friends, the second event of today is about a survey study made by working group number 10. And the title of the survey is Effects of the COVID-19 Pandemic on the UBI Movement. And it is asking the opinions of UBI advocates. And this study is not finished yet, but we will share some preliminary intermediate evaluations regarding the results of the survey. You know, we are in the Basic Income Week, so we thought it might be a good opportunity to talk about this and to have some intermediate results to you. By the way, dear Eduardo, please don't misunderstand us. We are talking about a typical politician, not all the politicians. So again, if you kindly share your emails in the chat box, we can share all the materials, presentation materials, and all the links and all the invitations with you, also for our future meetings. So this survey has been developed and executed by working group number 10, which is Basic Income Worldwide Surveys, and again, under the umbrella of worldwide meetings of UBI advocates and UBI networks. And the survey team includes Liz Foxman, Reinhard Hus, Ali Mutlu Köylüoğlu, Julio Linares, Annie Miller, Sheila Regerer, Tony Pickard, and Malcolm Torrey. Of course, we thank others who contributed to this process too. I will not mention the details about the worldwide meetings because I mentioned in the previous event and I saw that only Reinhard joined us. He knows all these. So I will not go into details of the working group number 1, worldwide meetings. So I will go directly to our issue. Our issue is a survey, an opinion survey, and the questions are forwarded to UBI advocates mostly, but it doesn't have to be, of course. In addition to the adverse effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on the health of individuals and families, the lockdowns have led to enormous deprivation among populations, and interest in UBI as part of the solution to the problem has increased. But has been the attitude of elected politicians and political parties to this clarion call for a UBI to be implemented, either as a temporary or permanent measure, and is it supportive of the UBI movement in each country? So the objective of this study or survey is to elicit the opinions of UBI advocates from different countries to assess the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on the UBI movement in each country. Of course, these are preliminary and intermediate evaluations. Interested parties can still join the survey by clicking that link, and we will provide this link to all the emails we will receive from the chat box. And of course, again, the presentation slides are all public and can be used freely in any study or in media. Our aim is to disseminate this information. So the questions are, we are asking the country and the region, very simple questions. And our first technical question is, do you think that politicians and political parties have an adequate understanding of UBI? The answers may be yes, no, or maybe. And the second question, or second technical question, the fourth question is, do you think that politicians and political parties are in favor of a UBI which will lead to emancipation? Fifth question is, do you think that politicians and political parties are trying to denigrate the concept of UBI? Sixth question is, are the integrities of the characteristics that define a UBI being threatened? This is a very important question, I think. And there are certain items: individual, universal, unconditional, sufficient, and permanent. So these are the 5 characteristics that has been listed here. Seventh question is, do you think that the UBI advocacy efforts in your country or region have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic? So this is, again, an opinion question. Question number 8 is, do you think that the UBI advocacy efforts in your country or region are moving? Moving, but which direction? Forward, backward, completely in contradiction, or other? And the number 9 is, what evidences are there for these perceptions? If there is any you would like to share, you can share it here. And question number 10 is, have the political and economical measures sparked broader media or popular debates or calls for basic income? The answers may be yes, no, or other. And of course, we would like to hear your additional comments, if any. And the last questions are your name and surname, if you would like to, they are all optional. Your UBI network, if you are a member of, and whether you are a member of BN or not, and your email address. These are the 15 questions. Let's come to the intermediate results. They are very interesting. Oh, before the results, I would like to mention that up to now, we received contributions from 20 different countries. The survey is not finished. I mean, the survey study is not finished. So it will be an ongoing survey. So we would like to have more contribution to the survey from other countries too, so that we will have a better idea about these questions. So 20 countries at the moment attended or participated in the survey. So the first technical question is, do you think that politicians and political parties have an adequate understanding of universal basic income? 49.5% of the participating friends said no, they don't have adequate understanding of UBI. And only 6.8% of our friends said that they have adequate understanding, and 21% says maybe. So if you consider no's and yes together, maybe the percentage of no is going to maybe 90%. So this is interesting. I mean, if you consider only the yes and no answers together, then it makes about 57 in total. So 49 over 57 is about 90%. So huge number of people are thinking that political parties do not have adequate understanding of UBI. Next question is, this is an interesting question also. Do you think that politicians and political parties are in favor of a universal basic income, which will lead to emancipation? And you see, 32% of the participants said no again, and 6% said yes. But is a huge percent that who do not have, who is not sure about her opinion or his opinion. So again, this is interesting that people do not think that politicians and political parties are in favor of UBI because it will lead to emancipation. Maybe we can hear some comments after the results from dear Eduardo. Question number 5. Do you think that politicians and political parties are trying to denigrate the concept of UBI? Another interesting question. All questions are very interesting, I think. And 32% of the participants are saying that yes, they are trying to denigrate the concept, degenerate the concept, modify the concept. I mean, you can use any words, but they are not after a real UBI. They are after a kind of UBI, or maybe we shouldn't even call it a UBI. So this is also a negative answer. These are all regarding politicians, by the way, and political parties. Question number 6 was regarding the integrities of the characteristics that define a UBI, whether they are under threat or not. And interesting is 46% of the participants say that unconditional or unconditionality characteristics of the UBI is under threat. And also the others are also under threat, but with relatively lower percentages. Universal, it is 44%, individual 22%, sufficient 36%, permanent 31%. and there's a 18% of people who say that I don't know. In fact, these first 5 were the ones we had provided, but there are others also, but with very small percentages. We will all mention these at the final report, but when we come back to this one, it is very interesting that the UBI advocates especially has an opinion that the integrities of the characteristics that define a UBI is under threat. Another one was regarding the effects of COVID-19. And the question is, do you think that the UBI advocacy efforts in your country or region have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic? Tremendously negatively, unaffected, positively, or tremendously positively? So very interesting, huge percentage of people say that positively they are affected, 57%. And 23% says tremendously positively. So when we sum them up, it makes 80%. So 80% of the world, or maybe not the world, 80% of the participants are saying that COVID-19 pandemic affected the UBI advocacy efforts positively. Oh, this is another question. And the question is, do you think that UBI advocacy efforts in your country or region are moving? And the answers are 74% is saying that, yes, it's moving forward. Very few answers saying that it's moving backward. And some of them say that it's completely in contradiction. But it's a good indication that 74%, almost 70% of participants mentioned that it's moving forward. Question number 10, have the political, economical measures sparked broader media or popular debates or calls for basic income? It shows that 78%. This is also good news. So basic income discussions are in the media, especially after the pandemic. Let me give you some more characteristics about the survey. The participants who joined the survey, 72% of them are members of a network in their home countries, but different networks, of course. So this means that we can consider 72% as UBI advocates. The remaining percent may still be considered as UBI advocate, but they are not a member of any UBI network. So this was the results of the question number 13. And question number 14 was regarding their BN membership, a Basic Income Earth Network membership. And we understand that 45% of the participants are a member of BN and 65 are not a member of BN. So this is another additional information. In fact, there are a lot of information embedded in the survey results. They will be clear in the final report. So, as I said at the beginning, you can still join the survey by clicking the link. We will provide the link with email. And of course, we will provide the slides, and you can use publicly, and they can be used in any study or any media. So this was the preliminary intermediate evaluations. By the way, I would like to say something also here. Basic Income Worldwide Survey Group, which is working group number 10, and which includes Liz Foxman, Reinhard Hus, Ali Mutlu Köylüoğlu, Julio Linares, Annie Miller, Sheila Regeher, Tony Pickard, and Malcolm Torrey. This is not the only survey we are handling. There is a much complicated survey. It's an ongoing survey. It's a questionnaire. Basic income, it's not written correctly here. But what I would like to say is that there is another survey too, which is very, very interesting, very, very detailed. We will share it also together with the other links. And if you can kindly participate in these two surveys, it will be very helpful for our studies, and we are all sharing the results publicly, so you can use anytime, everywhere. So this is the end of the small presentation. Maybe Reinhard is here from the working group. Reinhard, would you like to say few words or any comments? You are muted, I guess. Once again. Yes.
Yeah, hello everybody. I actually didn't plan to be here because I came back from Europe, and yes, my Eurostar train was cancelled, so I arrived earlier. It sounds a bit bizarre, but that's how it works out. I mean, I only want to appeal to people to complete the survey and pass it on to others, because I think it would really be interesting to see whether there is any difference of opinion between countries, and also to include more countries, because at the moment, in view that there are about 200 countries in the world, it would be really interesting to get lots of comments from at least some countries, so that one can compare and see whether the opinion is generally the same or whether there are huge differences. For instance, Latin America, in my opinion, is missing at the moment. So that's my appeal. So if you can sort of pass it on, that would be great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Reinhard. In fact, we will share by emails, but I also put it in the chat box too. If any friends would like to fill in the survey, it's there. Dear Eduardo, Senator Eduardo.
Perhaps it might be interesting for you to know what is the evolution of the debate with respect to the main minister of the economy. In a few moments, I will explain to you. Last year, on April 3, when arguing about the reforms with respect to the system of previdence in Brazil, when asked by Deputy Paulo Teixeira of the Workers' Party what was the opinion of the Minister of the Economy, Paulo Guedes, he said, curiously, other ideas like the basic income that Senator Suplicy has launched and Milton Friedman approves. So if we try to see what is the best thing, we will be surprised. We will be able to discover that we could be together doing good things instead of fighting so much in a way that's leading Brazil to nowhere. Well, last week, when asked about the basic income by by Reginaldo Lopes of the Workers' Party, the answer of the Minister of the Economy was, we just don't like the universal concept. We would prefer a citizen's basic income. That was the concept of the Brazilian income. Because when you say universal, you will be paying to also to the very rich people, the deputies, the federal deputies, the senators, I myself, many entrepreneurs, everybody will receive if it is going to be universal, all of us. So we cannot do that. We must focalize exactly like in the citizens' basic income. You can see from these words that the Minister of the Economy, to which I have wrote a letter saying that he, as of now, does not understand fully what is the citizens' basic income as a universal income and unconditional to all. Of course, the rich will be receiving the citizens' basic income, but they will pay proportionately much more for themselves and for everybody else to receive it. So just to tell you about this dialogue that that I, as the author of the law to institute the citizens' basic income, is having with the present Minister of the Economy, that, and it is important that this morning, the President Jair Bolsonaro has told that he will quit the idea of having a new Brazilian income. That was the name that he was announcing in the past 5 or 6 months as a new thing, no? But now he says, no, we will continue with the Bolsa Família program, and I don't know to what extent he will consider the citizens' basic income as universal and unconditional. Thank you very much. Alimut.
Thank you, dear Eduardo. I guess Reinhard would like to contribute. Dear Reinhard?
Yes, I just wanted to comment. I mean, as you said about politicians, I mean, their answers always have to be taken with a pinch of salt. So some may not understand the concept, others may not like it, but rather than saying no, because they don't like the idea, because obviously it's all very much linked to the tax system, and there I think that's a much more sensitive issue to sort of ask high-income people to pay higher taxes. So as I said, but they would never say this in public. I mean, they're obviously all in favor that they pay, but this would never be stated. So I think it's important to understand.
Isso aqui pode ser interessante.
Thank you, Reinhard. Any other friends who would like to contribute about the results of the survey? May I say a few things? If not, I cannot see any hands or any. Reinhard, would you like to say something?
I thought, did it not come across? I mean, I thought I said something, but maybe I was muted. I was just going to say, when politicians say that they don't like the universality because also the rich get it, it may be that is the reason, but it may be that the real reason is that the whole system is linked to a change in the tax system, and they don't like this idea that taxes for the rich or for the well-off are increased. Yeah, and so but they would never state this in public, in my opinion.
Thank you. Regarding Eduardo's contribution, I would like to say something. I think the politicians doesn't want people to be free. They want them to be in a lot of problems and need certain helps from the governments, or so they don't want them to stand alone. They don't want people to stand alone. So they are not happy with an emancipation. So that's why they are not happy with UBI. And also regarding whether everybody should take it or not, I mean, universality issue, I think it is a very technical discussion. I mean, the percentage of the people who are rich and who do not need universal basic income is very low. And the habitat will change because of the universal basic income, because of the new taxes, additional taxes, and they will be affected more. So at the end of the day, the rich one will not earn money. In fact, will be losing money because of the UBI system. Because UBI is, at the end of the day, is redistribution of money in a way. So I think these discussions are not meaningful. Forget about the philosophy of it, just simply technically not meaningful. So my last point regarding this issue is, if we do not give this money to every citizen, to everybody, then we are going to be introducing a new class system. A class who is receiving universal basic income, a class who is not receiving universal basic income. And their children in the streets will tell that, oh, you are the universal basic income receiver's kid, and the other will maybe not be happy. So it shouldn't introduce a new class system in the society. And everybody, even very, very rich, it doesn't matter, should receive this amount. It should be like a military service, or it should be like a voting right, something like this. Any friends who would like to say? Okay, Ivailo is here. Dear Ivailo, please unmute yourself, and I will try also. Okay.
Okay, hello everybody. I'm from Bulgaria, Ivailo. There is something that I want to put you to somehow to look. The people have different way of thinking. And if we want to succeed, we need to understand how the politician thinks. Because from the process of growing to the last years of our life, we are living in the same world, but we are living in a different social groups. And these social groups, they have the different way of thinking. And they need time to understand that the reality is changing and the road will be changed. What I look now in this moment, because I see, I came a little bit late, but I see the research that Lee was presenting. What was the situation 7 years ago when I started to speak about the UBI in Bulgaria? From 10 people, 1 was understanding. The other 9 person, they was not understanding. Now, when I'm speaking, from 3, 4, 5 people, at least the half understanding what I'm speaking. And this is very important for us. Let's say I have spoke to some friends some years ago, and now they're telling me, now we are understanding what you're speaking. We need to be very careful, because sometimes people, they are not doing anything because they don't want or they don't need. They couldn't understand what is going here in Bulgaria. The people who don't have money, I'm telling you can receive basic income, but he is telling me, no, I'm proud, I need to make my money alone. But I tell him, but you don't have work. He said, no, I'm proud. And we need to be very careful with politicians, how you be present also to the rich, how you present the things, because many of the billionaires in the world, they are understanding the idea and they like it, the idea. And one of the billionaires of the hedge fund in United States, 1 week ago, was giving something like interview here. I read it, I don't know exactly which days. He is telling that it's very good, the government to give to every child when he's burning $6,500, and they immediately to go to the hedge fund. Because their way of thinking is to take from the others everything, but the basic income is to give to the everyone the same things. And we need to be very, 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 very careful with the way how people is thinking. This is from me.
Thank you very much, dear Ivailo. Gerda would like to contribute, and we are about to finish this event, but we will continue with the third event. Dear Gerda, maybe after you we can conclude our event.
Yeah, okay. What I think is very important, and I feel that we don't press that enough, that basic income is not a gift to anybody, because everything, all the money that is with the government is the money of the society. And it should be a human right. It has nothing to do with work. It is human right for everybody, just like education and any other human rights in society. So that should be directly paid by the government, but not given by the government. It's paid for our participation in building up a society. So that is why we are participating in the profit of in the money that is there, and they are investing in the prosperity of the country by giving the people the opportunity to make the country prosperous. You know, because to do something you need money. That is why they are giving grants for innovations and progress and everything, because everybody knows it takes money to make money. So this is investment in the country itself, and then you make a deal for your work with the person that you're working for or working with, or you work as an independent. And if this is really clearly divided, it's a totally different discussion. And it is so simple fact that if you know, if a rich person sees that person is has just as much right in society as the poor one, it's as soon as they talk about that, they are talking about charity. We are not looking for charity. We are looking for the tools to participate. That's quite simple and dignified. And I find that we should press that more clearly.
Thank you very much, Gerdur. Thank you for your contributions.